The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
The people have spoken. And by people, I mean 13 in Dallas. Say K-State's number 19 in the college football playoff poll, and I'm like, I'll take it. I was thinking 20, so 19 is just a tad bit better. But if I'm a BYU fan, and I'm glad I'm not, I would be pretty upset.
Sure.
By that ranking in number 9. And we'll talk a little bit more a little bit later about the college football playoff ranking. Both the SEC and the Big Ten right now have 4 each in the college football playoff.
Disgusting.
With the projected bracket, BYU winning the Big 12 championship if it was, let's say, today with this current ranking, and they win the Big 12 championship, they would be the 4 seed in the CFP.
Off and running with the bad football playoffs.
You don't think this is going to be good?
Not by putting 4 Big Ten and 4 SEC teams in, no.
Hey,
especially not with 4 Big Ten teams in.
Well, because coming up later in this hour, it's going to sound like I'm sticking up for BYU. Really, I'm sticking up for the Big 12 because BYU should have a better ranking and it should be better representation for the Big 12 with their only team in the top 10.
Sure. Agreed.
So, and with BYU not as highly ranked as they should be, I think it does hurt the Big 12.
Yeah.
And it just need a win out, of course. They'll be fine. But if they don't continue to climb those ranks, it makes it pretty much impossible to get two out of the Big 12 in the college football playoff.
Who didn't see it coming?
Well, yeah.
I know.
Actually, honestly, I think it's a little bit worse.
Probably. I mean, in general, that it would turn into the SEC Big Ten Invitational.
I mean, you're this far as a Big 12 team. You're this far, and you're an undefeated team. You have 4 games to go. You're probably going to win out, and you have a better resume than a lot of teams that are ranked ahead of you, and you're only 9.
Yeah, and your brand hasn't been in the mix since the 80s, and yeah.
Welcome to the game, Mitch Fortner, Troy Coverdale, AJ Shaw. We're going to talk a lot, of course, about K-State men's basketball and their win over New Orleans last night, 89-65. Real quick brag. Mitch Palm was only 2 points off, folks. Way more accurate than Ken Palm. Mitch Palm said 91-65.
Well played.
Probably should have that last bucket there in the final minute. Did not get it. But Mitch Palm probably would have been right on the money. So now you could probably save your $20 a year. Just tune into the game on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or you can listen to us live on 1350 AM, 93.3 or 93.7 FM.
Simple as that.
It's Wednesday.
Uh-oh.
And you know what that means. AEW Dynamite tonight. Interesting location. Manchester, New Hampshire.
Okay.
I've never been to New Hampshire. I hear it's pretty.
The greatest state.
I didn't know they get events up there, but it's going to be at the SNHU Arena.
Oh, Southern New Hampshire University.
Yeah, and it starts, of course, at 7 o'clock on TBS. It is Wednesday, so that means as well we're joined by a member of K-State Online. The rotation lands on Drew Galloway from K-State Online. Drew, did BYU deserve a better ranking than number 9 in the college football playoff?
Yeah, it's funny that's your leadoff question because Mason and I, literally probably like an hour ago, just did a show talking about the first college football playoff rankings, and we kind of talked about where we thought that K-State would be if they'd beat Houston, and at first, yesterday when we just saw kind of the raw number of 19, I was like, okay, K-State beats Houston. They're probably like 13, 14. But then you kind of dig in and you see that Iowa State's at 17 and BYU's at 9. And that made me think that if K-State was on the top 15, they're probably number 15. I said that BYU should at minimum be ahead of Tennessee, Penn State, and Indiana. So probably at worst they should be 6. But I mean, I'd listen to an argument that they should be above Alabama as well. So I think that BYU ends up getting kind of screwed out of this, and it's very interesting because typically we've seen the Big 12 get a lot of love from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, and last night just kind of was a slap in the face because even Iowa State, like being 7-1 or at 7-1 and being number 17, I was like, that's interesting.
I think maybe the problem is BYU and their location and playing too many Big 12 after darks. Got all these olds on the college football playoff. They're not staying up late enough because apparently the eye test was a major factor in this first ranking of the college football playoff. All right, Drew, we'll talk more college football a little bit later on. Want to lead off talking about K-State basketball last night. Big win. I say big win. It was win by 24. If it wasn't for a slow start, probably would have been a lot more. Probably get to 100. But the Cats beat New Orleans, who I think is a decent team. 89-65, the final score. First of all, did you notice during the lineups that every player got their own walkout song? What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I thought that it was super cool. I actually got tipped off from Mason, who said that you said something about the walk-up songs. So I had my ears like ready for the starting 5 because I was very interested on how they were going to like incorporate that, because that was even different than the exhibition. I really liked it. I thought that it was a really like unique kind of twist.
Yeah. Coach Tang, Troy, likes, like in baseball, when everybody gets their walk-up songs, why not for the starting lineups? It's just a little bit quicker pace.
Yeah, I was going to say it puts a little more pressure on you.
But to be honest with you, I thought it sounded really good. No rehearsal.
Yeah, Coach Tang should get his own walk-up song. That's my only complaint about it. Is if we do a starting 5-1, Coach Tang has to submit a song, right?
I'm just looking now for volleyball to do that.
Volleyball. Oh yeah.
Might be a little tough.
Well, here's the deal. Let's plan out this production here real quick, here, Drew. So maybe not after the lineups because it's just and the head coach of the Cats, Jerome Tang. That little quick thing I don't think is enough because he kind of waits for the staff to walk out the tunnel and then he follows behind. Maybe he gets his own entrance, with his music. Maybe this is kind of a Coach Prime thing, but as he walks out the tunnel to begin the game, is that what we're doing here, Drew?
I think that would be kind of cool. I think that if he submitted a song, I think it would just be kind of a unique taste in because you don't see that in basketball or really any sport besides baseball, and I thought that it was really cool. I also thought that it was hilarious that Brennan Hazen did Amarillo by Morning for his.
Actually, now that I think about it, Drew, you've probably been to Allen Fieldhouse more than I have, but doesn't Bill Self kind of get his own entrance?
Yeah, he gets his own entrance. He comes out separate from the rest of the team and the staff. So it would be very similar to that. That was actually going to be what I was going to compare it to.
I'll get that natty. Everybody will get their own entrance if you get that natty.
Please tell me that for Amarillo by Morning that it did get ramped up tempo-wise. That really
just the beginning of the song.
Wow.
The instrumental at the beginning of the song.
Wow.
Drew, how much better has David Gasson been so far?
He's been really, really good at that. I thought that all of last year he was very underappreciated and kind of was the guy that everybody liked to pick on as why is he still in the starting lineup? But when you look at when he is on the floor, and this goes back last year, goes back to 2022, K-State is much better when he's on the floor because he is kind of what they want in that 5 spot where he can play and can switch 1 through 5 and play good defense, and has improved just dramatically from the first year to last year to what we've seen in the exhibition game last night in the rebounding department. He is doing what he's supposed to do. And New Orleans not a big team, but David Gasson did what he had to do, which is just get rebounds. And the impressive thing to me is he would have had a double-double if he just got offensive rebounds last night because he had 10. So to see his improvement and to know how hard he plays night in and night out, it's nice to see that get rewarded on the court last night. And I'm hoping that it keeps getting rewarded because last year there were a lot of times where I got kind of frustrated because I didn't love the effort level that K-State played with. But every night, David Gasson brought it, and he brought it again last night. The one thing that I will say is because he plays so hard, K-State's probably going to have to manage his minutes a little bit. I don't know if he can be that 34 minute a game kind of guy, but if he can maximize that like 25 to 30 minutes that he's on the floor and kind of save his legs, because we saw him kind of get worn down last year with his legs because he plays so hard, that K-State becomes really dangerous because David Gasson can be a double-double kind of guy night in and night out with how hard he plays.
Yeah, David Gasson, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds for David Gasson. He had the double-double at halftime. First player since Mark Smith 3 years ago to achieve that feat. We're with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. Max Jones did not play in the exhibition. He's the transfer from Fullerton, talking with Jerome Tang in Big 12 Media Days, we both called him the X Factor. He could be the X Factor of this team. Did you notice a big difference in K-State's pace or just the offense in general with Max Jones on the floor?
It just looked a lot smoother. And how much of that is we didn't see him in the exhibition game, and K-State was kind of flat offensively, and then last night they really took off. But the thing that I think what you saw from Max Jones yesterday, which was really interesting and exciting to see, is that when K-State was really struggling, the two guys that stepped their game up and gave K-State a lot of energy were David Gasson and Max Jones. And I'll add Coleman Hawkins into that mix too, because I think when Coleman Hawkins dove on the floor for that loose ball, it really kind of woke K-State up. But what woke K-State up on offense was when Max Jones made that three, and it kind of felt like a sigh of relief from everybody that, okay, they've now made a shot from distance. Everybody can kind of ease up and ease into the game, and K-State runs away with it. But I'm right there with you. I think that Max Jones is the X factor because I think that he can be a guy that can win a game, not necessarily by himself, but he could be that like 17 to 19 points, and K-State ends up winning a game against like Houston or Arizona or a Baylor. And you kind of take away from that as like, okay, like Max Jones was one of the reasons that K-State won that game. I personally enjoyed watching Max Jones last night because I felt like I was one of the first ones on the Max Jones bandwagon when he committed, after I kind of dug into what he did at Fullerton and what he did at the Division II level, and seeing that he had 30 points against Nebraska, which was almost more than what K-State scored against Nebraska last season.
Yeah. That's a bad game.
It was awful.
Kind of seeing that he rose up in those big games, and he's such an easy guy to root for. And I put this on the board. Somebody asked who, like everybody was looking forward to seeing the most of the newcomers, and I said Max Jones because he's just such an easy guy to root for because he's had to grind his way to K-State. He was a Division II guy. He was at the low major level. Now he's at the Power 5 and playing in the best conference in college basketball. And I just think that that's a cool story and something that should really be noted more and probably will be as the season goes on.
One more player I'm going to ask individually about is Brendan Hausen because, 17 points last night. He's 4 of 9 from 3. That's a clip. And going back to the exhibition where he made 5 threes, that's a much higher clip than he's used to. And he's had kind of an up and down couple of years just shooting the three, even though he shoots at a high percentage. He could be a little up and down. I'm wondering, do you think, maybe a hard question to answer here, but do you think this is something he can keep up? That's my question about him. Can he keep this pace, or do you think he's going to kind of even out as the season continues?
Yeah, I think that he can keep this elite pace. Brendan Hausen was a guy that I said when he committed that he's going to be a player that could win K-State an NCAA tournament game because he can catch fire in a hurry. I've been DMing a few times with Evan Miyakawa, who has an analytics website that's just all devoted to college basketball. And he has like teams with the most elite shooters on their team that could be in the 90th percentile and projected 3-point percentage on his site. And one of them is Brendan Hausen. And I think that is a clip that he can shoot at, and he can be in that 90th percentile of college basketball shooters because, number one, he is not fearless. He has never seen a shot that he's like, okay, I probably shouldn't take this. And that's what you want from a shooter. And I think that the more volume that you get from him, if he could be in that 4 of 9 range on a pretty consistent basis, K-State's a very dangerous team because he can shoot it from anywhere. I mean, he shot 1 in the second half last night. That kind of not quite to the same extreme as Marquise Noel did, because it was a catch and shoot for Brendan Haas, and it was like oh my, you're way out there and you're catching and shooting it, and it still went in. So I think that you're kind of in that same spot. I think that he's also going to be a team or a player that drives Big 12 teams crazy because they're going to have to know where he is at all times. And if he keeps improving on the defensive end, I think that you'll see more and more minutes go his way because when he is out there, it opens up driving lanes for everybody else because the guy that's on him can't help, because if they help, he will get the ball and he will shoot. And a lot of times it will go in.
One more basketball question. Drew, if we had you on every week, I'd probably wait a week or two to ask you this question, but I'm going to ask you now. So we've just seen K-State play 2 games. This game was better than the Fort Hays State game. You know, defensively, they're not sharp every possession. They have their great moments, and sometimes they give up a blow-by. So nothing's perfect yet for sure. But is there a sign or two that stands out to you the most that tells you that this group is just different than last year's group?
I think it's the passing. We've talked about a little bit of it during our instant reaction from the game. I think DY's posted about it in an article about the game. The passing on this team is so much better than last year's. And after one game, it might be a little bit overreactionary to say that it's probably better than the 2022 team because just Marquise Noel was so good passing. I don't know if you can say that exactly, but they have more guys that are capable of running an offense and dishing it off to other players. Max Jones, Doug McDaniel, and Colin Hawkins combined for 18 assists last night. And I think that all of those guys are very comfortable with the ball in their hands. And that doesn't include CJ Jones, who I think is a pretty good facilitator as well. So I think that would be the sign that this team is better than last year because instead of, like Jerome Tank said, having to scheme up like passes for like they had to for last year's team, this year it's, okay, how can we scheme up a shot because we have a lot more guys that can pass the ball to an open player.
Talking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. We'll take a quick break, and we'll talk a little K-State football. Lincoln Cure is taking a visit this weekend to Oregon. Is that something to truly worry about? We'll talk more with with Drew when we come back as you're listening to the game.
Tweet the game, KMAN, or call 537-1350 and get in touch with the show. This is the game on News Radio KMAN.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
WTC Fiber Internet is on its way to all of Manhattan. Sign your home or business up today at WTCKS.com. No contracts, no data caps, or overage fees. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet. Sign up today at WTCKS.com.
I'm Shelby Cole, owner of Salon Tendencies. I believe everyone deserves to feel beautiful without breaking the bank. You can find me at Ivy Hair Studio in Candlewood or message me at 785-747-7967. Don't wait. Book that appointment with me because your beauty is my tendency.
D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air will provide honest and quality service when you need it most. From a leaky faucet to replacing your water heater. Trust the experts at D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Your York and other makes and models local dealer. Call 537-7138 today.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
The secret to getting ahead is getting started. The words of Mark Twain. If you know what it's like to be behind and you're looking to get ahead for a change, it's Central Time. Open a new opportunity checking account with Central National Bank that makes finances easy. Account opening is subject to qualifications. Restrictions may apply.
Central National Bank. Money for life.
Member FDIC. Money for getting started since 1884.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
At this very moment, Doctors Without Borders is on the ground in communities around the world, delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most. Our teams are bandaging war-wounded patients caught in the crossfire in Sudan, providing clean drinking water in Haiti, and performing emergency C-sections in Yemen. Doctors Without Borders teams are in over 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving work is made possible by our movement of supporters, people like you who help our patients even when they're half a world away. At Doctors Without Borders, we won't stop working to bring our patients and their communities from crisis to care.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and in '09 it was me, your fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when one of my embers landed on dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
There's only one place to go for the best digital advice. That's the Kim Komando Show, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with me, America's digital goddess Kim Komando, on News Radio KMAN.
I'm AJ Shaw with a sports update for News Radio KMAN as the game continues. David Gasson scored 21 points and grabbed 15 rebounds to lead K-State to an 89-65 victory over New Orleans on Tuesday night in a season opener for both teams.
Dave's energy and effort allowed us to stay close enough that when we went on a run, we was able to take a lead. And so, I'm happy for him because he works really, really hard, and we have a ton of confidence in him. And so very, very, very thankful.
Head coach Jerome Tang, after Gasson finished 10 of 14 shooting from the field. Max Jones had 19 points and 5 assists, and Brendan Hawson scored 15 for K-State in their Wildcat debuts. The pair each made 4 of the Wildcats' 13 three-pointers. Josh Short scored 19 points to lead New Orleans. James White added 14, and Day Hunter had 10. Undefeated Oregon got top billing in the first set of the college football playoff rankings released last evening. The selection committee liked Ohio State just a touch more than Georgia in its top 25. Other than that, the panel's top 12 looked exactly like the top dozen in the most recent AP poll, with K-State checking in at number 19, Iowa State at number 17, Colorado at 20, and BYU currently being the only representative of the Big 12 at number 9 to be in the bracket. More of the game next on News Radio KMAN.
The game continues. News Radio KMAN, we're on YouTube. Search for News Radio KMAN on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It's also where you can find the press conferences from last night from Jerome Tang and 3 K-State players, Doug McDaniel, David Gasson, and Max Jones, over their win against New Orleans to get to 1-0 on the season.
Did you slip it in? Did you slip in Nolans last night? Did you? No.
No, I didn't.
I am disappointed.
I don't think I did.
Who went first in the starting lineup?
CJ.
CJ went first.
Yeah, CJ kind of has that. Since he was in the lineup back-to-back, I split up the Jones. So remember Rob Velker, he would, with the Glenn twins in the starting lineup last year, he actually just went in numerical order, so it went from Jalen to Serena and then Briley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you got to Gabby and then Yoki. So I just split up the Jones, even though they're not related. And then I put Hazen in between them. And then Coleman at media days, he requested to be last, so I'm fine with that. Gasson went fourth.
Okay.
I'll tell you all the songs that they walked out to later on in the show. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Later on, going to give away a 4-pack of K-State women's basketball tickets. Tomorrow night, they host Belmont at 6:30 in Bramlage Coliseum for game number 2. Back with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. Drew, skipping over to K-State football, we talked about BYU and the CFP. Were you surprised K-State was at number 19 in the poll?
No, that was about right to me. I know that everybody was kind of like ready to burn it down after losing to Houston, but I thought that 19-20 was probably about where K-State was going to end up. It was good to see that it was 19 because, I mean, when the other option is 20, you're probably happier that it ends up being a little bit better than you thought. But that's probably where this team should be after 9 games.
You said before you came on, you spent an hour with Mason talking about the college football playoff. Did you guys come to like any, if you did talk about it, any possible situation that the Big 12 does get 2 teams in the college football playoff? Because I don't have one. I don't see one.
With how the first ranking ends up looking like, and BYU just being at 9, and Iowa State only being at 17, it's really hard to think of a scenario where the Big 12 would get 2 in. The only possible scenario that I could see, and with how the ranking looks, it's probably going to have to take some help, would be BYU going undefeated and losing in the Big 12 championship game and getting an at-large. But when BYU is ranked behind a lot of teams that already have losses, and some have pretty bad losses, or you're Indiana and you've played 2 teams with a winning record all year, and they're ahead of BYU, it's hard to think that even that would get BYU in. So it's looking like the Big 12 is only going to get 1 team in if you're going off of what the first ranking is.
Yeah, and depending if SMU continues to go on this big run, if they slip up, you would imagine as well that, because Miami's going to probably win out, that the ACC might be very close to only getting 1 team in. Right now, SMU is on the bubble. They're on the outside of the bubble for the CFP. All right, you were in Houston. Obviously, the big storyline there was in K-State's loss 24-19 to the Cougars. Second loss this year to a team with the mascot Cougars. That the offense, it was pretty rough, right? Avery had to throw it a ton. It was the most tosses he's had this season. Ground game just never could sustain itself. Right now, what do you feel like is the biggest concern with the K-State offense?
The biggest concern is just not being able to run the ball effectively. It got masked a little bit in the KU game, and they didn't have to in the West Virginia game. But really, since the end of the third quarter against Colorado, K-State hasn't been able to run the ball very well. And West Virginia, they were able to escape because they, number one, threw the ball all over the yard, and West Virginia couldn't stop the pass, but also broke off a few big ones. Against KU, they couldn't run the ball very effectively, but again, broke off a few big ones. Against Houston, they weren't able to even pop off the big ones. And that's what kind of leaves me a little bit more concerned for these last 3 games, because you look at all of the stats and the analytics that go with how K-State's offense has been this year and how Houston's defense has been this year. K-State coming into that game was in the top 20 in explosive run plays per game in the whole NCAA and Division I football. and Houston was in the bottom 30 in allowing explosive runs. So you would have thought that K-State, the more that they kept doing it, was going to be able to break off an explosive run, but that just never came. And I think that that's really concerning going forward, because you dive in deeper again, K-State's biggest strength in the passing game this year has been in the play action game. And when you can't run the ball, it's hard to make play action be more effective. And that's just how so much of the offense is predicated, is on the running game. And I've kind of beat down the offensive line a little bit for how they played against Houston, but they aren't exactly totally blameless. And Chris Kleiman said that after the game Saturday, that even when they sustained blocks, they need to break the arm tackles better than they did against Houston. So I think that they just need to get the run game going, and I think this bye week probably comes at the right time for them to kind of figure it out, because the run game has been so good all year outside of these last 3 games that, okay, what were you doing against Colorado the first 3 quarters? What were you doing against Oklahoma State? What were you doing against UT Martin? And I think that will help. I also think that just the bye week, just with rest, will help, because I don't know if you guys have really noticed this or not, but it was something that DY Mason and I had kind of talked about, is that it looked like DJ Giddens was just like a little bit slower last week than he had been in the previous few games. So you wonder if he's been a little bit dinged up, and you want this time off for him to kind of get him back and get him more fresh. So run game has to get going if K-State is going to get back to Arlington.
With the run game getting just stuffed like it has been the last 3, I worry about guys getting hurt, especially with DJ. I just didn't think he was as sharp against Houston. Like I thought there were opportunities to hit a hole, and I guess he just didn't see it, like a cutback lane, and didn't see it. But, at this point of the year, I think it's easy to assume that guys are a little bit banged up. I think I worry more about Avery in his running game, about maybe what happened at Colorado. Does that still linger? Is he still feeling the pain a little bit? Is he still a little bit sore, is my worry.
Yeah, and that's, again, where I think that the bye week is just coming at the perfect time, because this late in the year, everybody's banged up. So, like, if you asked, like, an injury report and did one kind of like the SEC and Big Ten are doing, that's why their list is so long, because at this point in the year, just everybody is so beat up. So the bye week probably comes at a good time, and it's a good time to kind of reset and refresh. Because remember, before the last bye week, K-State rolled off 3 straight wins before they lost to Houston. Now it's, can you roll off 3 straight wins coming off a bye again?
All right, one more thing we'll touch on, Drew, before I let you go, and that's Lincoln Cure, the 5-star tight end out of Goodland. Was wondering if this was going to be on the horizon. He is going to be visiting Oregon this weekend. How concerned are we about this visit?
I would say, if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 6. It is concerning that he is going there and that he still has kind of like that what if feeling. But you just go back and think of, like, what all has gone in K-State's favor for him and with this recruitment. Number 1, he's already committed to K-State. Number 2, he was at the Sunflower Showdown after he went on his own to Boulder to watch K-State play Colorado. And then number 3, K-State is number 1 in the country in tight end touchdowns this season. So K-State has done all that they really can do to win this recruitment and keep on this recruitment. But it is concerning that he is going there on his own dime to watch them play Maryland this weekend. But at the same time, I'm not, like, hitting the panic button right now.
All right. We'll wait and see on Lincoln Cure, but hopefully nothing too crazy happens. Yeah, it's got to be fun as a tight end to watch what K-State's doing this season. Just didn't see it take place against Houston, a lot like a lot of other things offensively. All right, Drew, I'll let you go. Good stuff as always. K-State Online, killing it as always with the recruiting news and K-State news as well. Drew, appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Drew Galloway, K-State Online. When we come back, get a little deeper into the college football playoff talk and why BYU is probably getting a little screwed over right now. We'll talk more about that next on The Game.
Your home for K-State sports. Raymond, quick one, outside, and Nelson breaks away. Jordy Nelson, he needs a block. Inside the 40, one more. He's going to go the distance. Touchdown, Nelson. This is The Game on News Radio, KMAN.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we improve lives by building authentic relationships. No matter the project size, our clients enjoy unmatched talent and resources in the Manhattan area market. Early collaboration with our pre-construction team ensures cost certainty, preventing surprises. Whether it's education space for learning or healthcare space for healing, we build to serve the community. McCown Gordon Construction, proud builder for K-State and the KSU Foundation. Visit McCownGordon.com. If Kansas weather has taught us anything, it's to be prepared for everything. It's time to call M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air to make sure your furnace is ready. From full safety inspections to replacing your furnace, M&S Plumbing will keep you and your family warm this winter. If it's been a while since you've had your furnace serviced and inspected, be sure to call and schedule your appointment today. Simple fixes now can save you big money later.
Call the experts who care. M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Hey Wildcat fans, tickets for all 16 home men's basketball games are on sale now. Get yours today and catch this season's biggest matchups, including a non-conference clash with LSU, the Sunflower Showdown against KU, and a pair of huge Big 12 matchups with Houston and Arizona. Order your tickets online at kstatesports.com/tickets or by calling 1-800-221-2287. We can't wait to see you in the Octagon of Doom.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, "That's rad." It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, "Totally, just shorter." As in, "I totes love going to the mall with Becca." Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, "Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case."
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The Ramsey Show.
So I am 20 years old, straight out of high school. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona to start my own business selling furniture.
What does selling furniture look like?
So I go around picking it up, clean it up, take really good pictures and sell it. I'll probably do about 100 grand this year. Net.
Wow.
Some of you are standing around with your finger in your ear. And then you got a 20-year-old with a high school education that's making 100 grand flipping used furniture.
He's laughing all the way to the bank. Financial
advice for everyone. The Ramsey Show. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast calling for patchy fog tonight after 9 p.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 38. That fog will continue into the early morning hours tomorrow, but otherwise it'll clear up with sunshine and a high of 57. Fog than expected again tomorrow evening with a low of 39. There'll be chances then for rain in the forecast throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours on Friday, a high of 54 throughout the day on Friday. More of the game next here on News Radio KMAN.
The game continues. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and A.J. Shaw with you till 6 o'clock. I'm bouncing after the first segment in hour number 2, heading to Manhattan High School. The guys will take you the rest of the way. But before I go, give you certainly my thoughts on K-State basketball and their win last night over New Orleans by the final score of 89-65. Again, Mitch Palm was just 2 points off. Trust Mitch Palm, don't trust Ken Palm. Better metrics at mitchpalm.com. That website does not exist, but it should.
Yeah, you should start a website, mitchpalm.com.
I wouldn't be able to keep up with it.
It'll also probably cost you a little extra money, too.
Yeah, domain names and stuff.
The hard drive would start smoking from all of the work that you already have it doing and then trying to host a website.
I would have to invest in a whole bunch of equipment that I can't afford. Yeah, it seems like it's a real tough startup for one person. Plus, I'm just too particular about a layout of a website, and I would just never be happy with it.
That's true. You've definitely been very critical of the changes to the K-State sports website over the
I'm
last
OCD
year.
about it. Like, if it's not organized a certain way.
Listen, if you can't do it on GeoCities, wait.
ESPN's current layout of their website, I could not stand it when they switched from I thought the previous format it was perfect. It was the way it should have been. And now, like, the font's smaller, and there's way more many pages to navigate through to get to where you want to go.
And we have to get all of the priority featured material in ahead of actually sharing actual headlines.
Yeah, it's just not what it used to
It's
be.
a bad format.
What did LeBron do today?
Ugh. All right. Well, now it's more what is his son done
exactly.
today? He hit a shot, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I could tell you what he's done today, but, that's not allowed on the air.
Wait.
I totally get what Troy just said.
Oh, yeah, that flew over my head. No idea.
What Bronny has done today? Well, probably ate a couple of meals, and, we'll leave it there.
Man, you're leaving me in suspense. It's that rough you can't share?
Well,
Is it political?
Does a bear in the woods?
I don't know what you're saying. I'll do a Google search later.
Wow. Okay.
Well, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what you're saying. Like, you're not painting me a clear picture.
You're talking about it in sports terms. I'm talking about it in everyday life terms.
Again, am I the only one that's lost here? Okay. Anyway, college football playoff. We got the first one last night. ESPN did the whole big reveal. And our top 25 has K-State at number 19. You have Iowa State at 17. BYU is at 9. And by the way, Colorado at number 20. So you have 4 teams right now, the Big 12 in the top 25, only 1 in the top 15. And BYU's undefeated. Now, where K-State's at, you're great. Which I do look at it as a pretty interesting factor that K-State is ranked ahead. Colorado, which K-State beat Colorado, but also Louisville, Clemson, Missouri, 2 3-loss teams. So K-State's one of the better 2-loss teams according to the college football playoff. Well, I'll put it this way. K-State's the best 2-loss team that's not playing in the SEC, which I think is a big note. Because I'll explain. Because my big takeaway from this, at the top, you have Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami. Totally fine with that. I think that's great. I think that's the way it should be. And then you get to some other 1-loss teams that really haven't played much of a and I say much of a resume. I mean, Texas did, play Georgia, but Georgia won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, Texas just barely squeaks by Vandy, who is no longer in the top 25. Penn State, Tennessee, and then at 8-9, undefeateds in Indiana and BYU. First of all, I'm glad the committee put Miami a little bit higher. But Indiana and BYU, like if I'm you two, I'm a little upset by being this low.
Mm-hmm.
The committee says that a major factor for this round was they really bought into the eye test. Which, I mean, heck, BYU, I'm sorry, but for all the teams that are in the top 10, you're the furthest to the west, and I feel bad for you because, or other than Oregon, but everybody knows about Oregon. Oregon's not playing after dark.
Right.
BYU's playing after dark.
Yeah.
So maybe the eye test, you're not getting that live feel of the game when they're playing football, but maybe not as big of a factor that I would say it maybe appears to be. What I'm saying is BYU, I feel like, is getting a little bit screwed here. I think there is an argument that they should be higher than Indiana, but BYU has played a tougher schedule than Indiana. Indiana has made it look good. They've beaten teams by double digits, but they really haven't played anybody. The reason their strength of schedule is as high as it is, and it's in the top 30, is because they're playing Ohio State, which they have not played yet. BYU, here, I'll give you a little trivia question here. Of the teams that are currently projected to reach the college football playoff, the cutoff is Boise State at 12. SMU and Texas A&M, they're the first two teams out. Of those top teams, how many of those teams have beaten a top 20 team in the college football playoff ranking? How many of those teams have beaten one? Have beaten two? Let's put it that way. Who's beaten two top 20 teams in the college football playoff poll?
Say those teams just one more time.
Well, I haven't given you teams. I'm asking you.
Okay.
Who has beaten teams that are ranked in the top 20 of the college football playoff ranking? Who's beaten two of them?
Oh, boy.
Oregon right at the top of it has.
That's one of them.
Who's the other?
BYU.
BYU.
Yeah.
Indiana has not beaten a top 20 team. Penn State hasn't beaten a top 20 team.
Penn State doesn't ever beat top 20 teams.
Texas hasn't beaten a top 20 team. I'm talking about teams that are currently ranked in the CFP top 20. BYU has beaten K-State quite handedly. And right now the college football playoff has K-State at 19. They beat SMU on the road. SMU is at 13. I know BYU hasn't played the toughest schedule in the world, but guess what? Neither has Tennessee, neither has Penn State, neither has Texas, neither has Miami. And Miami's way higher. And they're going based off of, the offense is electric. Well, I know BYU doesn't have the best numbers in the world, but the committee gave us the argument that Indiana is ranked higher because they're beating teams by double digits. Some of their numbers are just a little bit better. Well, BYU has pretty much done the exact same thing, but they have more impressive wins than almost everybody in the top 10 of the CFP. So, and I'm not trying to argue BYU should be number 3 or number 4, but I would put BYU higher than Penn State. I would put them higher than Tennessee and probably higher than Indiana. I'm not sticking up for BYU. I'm sticking up for the Big 12 because the Big 12, this is their highest representative in the college football playoff poll, who's undefeated, who's beaten 2 top 20 teams that are currently in the top 20, not when they are back in week 2 in the top 20. I'm talking currently in the poll, and the only poll that matters, the CFP top 20, and they're stuck at number 9.
The flaw is that we're going to be caught in this situation year after year after year now, going forward with the playoffs set up in this way, because it is set up for the SEC and the Big Ten to get in their load of teams, and everybody else is playing for the last handful of spots. Because we've already set aside that those are the 2 big players in college football. This is my problem I have with the state of college football right now. We have out and out just stated that it is the SEC and the Big Ten and it's everybody else. And so we're going to get ourselves to the point where it is the SEC and the Big Ten Invitational.
Well, I mean, that's why those 2 leagues are arguing that, if there's ever, again, an expansion of the college football playoff, that they should each get 4 automatic bids.
And they're wrong to begin with. And it's wrong to begin with.
That would be the complete in my opinion, it would ruin college football.
For all of the detractors of the old bowl system, before we ever even tried to put a playoff into place, or the BCS for that matter, for all of the detractors of it, can you tell me that this is a better game now because we've got a playoff here?
But this year, if you put together the top four of the SEC, the top four of the Big Ten, the top four of the Big 12, I would never argue that the Big 12 is better than any of them. I'm just saying BYU deserves to be higher. And because of them being stuck in number 9, you have really no shot of 2 teams getting into the college football playoff. It is easily reserved for 4 teams each, Big Ten and SEC, unless a lot of chaos were to take place. Probably, honestly, the Big 12's best case scenario is just all these top teams just please win out. And hopefully that'll
winnow it down.
5 through 15 will work their way out and something were to happen, but odds are that's not going to happen. We got to take a break. That's the end of hour number 1. Coming up next, our takeaways from K-State's win over New Orleans. Hour 2 of the game next.
Whether you're buying your first home or moving into a new home, getting your home loan with K-State Credit Union's fast and easy. K-State Credit Union understands the Manhattan mortgage market and offers competitive interest rates, fast underwriting, and low closing costs. If you value exceptional personalized customer service for the life of your loan, visit kstatecu.com to apply for your mortgage today. Equal housing lender insured by NCUA.
Fall has arrived at Blueville Nursery. Add a pop of seasonal color to your porch with mums, annuals, and pumpkins. Cooler temperatures make fall a perfect time to plant, and we have a great selection of trees, shrubs, and perennials. September through October is the perfect time to seed cool season lawns. Don't forget to add Fertilome New Lawn Starter to get an extra boost. Plant fall bulbs in October to get an early pop of color next spring. Blueville Garden Store is open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5. Come give us a visit at Blueville Nursery, where you'll always find the friendly smile and expert advice. Located at the corner of Scenic Drive in Anderson and Manhattan.
Larry, Steve, and Rudy, the Gatlin brothers, have dazzled audiences for more than 69 years, accruing a lifetime of noteworthy achievements in their storybook career, including a Grammy for Best Country Song. The Gatlin brothers have entertained audiences on stages all over the world, from the Grand Ole Opry to Carnegie Hall. Don't miss the Gatlin brothers Country and Christmas Show at Kansas State University's McCain Auditorium, Friday, December 6th. Buy tickets online, by phone, or at the box office. Sponsored by Strecker Nelson West Gallery and Custom Frames.
Stop. Look no further than Buck Roofing. For nearly 20 years, Buck has specialized in top quality roofing, installation, and repairs for residential and commercial properties. Call for a free, no obligation estimate. 785-230-9379.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
KS State Bank wants to be your bank. Find the solutions you've been looking for at ksstate.bank. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast. Calling for patchy fog tonight after 9 p.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 38. That fog will continue into the early morning hours tomorrow, but ultimately will clear up with mostly sunny skies and a high of 57. Patchy fog then tomorrow evening between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. A low of 39. Chance then for rain throughout the day on Friday. 63 right now in the Little Apple. We have hour 2 of the game next here on News Radio KMAN.
It's hour 2 of the game after work. Mitch Fortner, Troy Coverdale, and A.J. Shaw. Troy, are you okay with Sweet Home Alabama?
I'm all right with it. Rather this than the Kid Rock version.
Oh, is that all summer long?
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. This is a classic.
Absolutely.
So is Freebird.
No.
You're not a fan of 4.5-minute guitar solos?
Not necessarily when they're good.
You don't think that's good? You don't think it's good?
I think it is an overrated song that does not deliver much listenable to it. No.
Oh my God. Do you have a favorite song ever?
Probably something by Prince.
Not necessarily.
I don't believe people truly have a favorite song. It's
yeah.
It could be a flavor of the month type of thing.
Yeah, trying to pick a favorite out of all of the music that I like would be a practical impossibility, I think.
Give me an example of your range. You listen to this, but you also listen to this.
Okay. With Quincy Jones's passing, the other day it was noted that he worked from a range that went all the way back to Basie and Sinatra and Ray Charles, who are all in my playlist.
You like jazz?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, gosh, yes. All the way, through to these recent years, some of the artists that involved there. But, of course, he's best known for most because of what he did with Michael Jackson. But, he was involved with music that, you would be surprised at. The Chiffons from the 50s. He's So Shy. He was involved in that. I mean, that is a range that we could all aspire to enjoy music. And there is a lot of music there that was just tremendous. You just didn't realize that Quincy Jones was involved with it.
I think my bookends, I was trying to think while you were talking. You remember that band called Gojira? They played in the opening ceremony of the Olympics?
Yes.
They're over here, and then Christopher Cross. I love some Christopher Cross. And I got into him super late. Probably actually it was during the pandemic. Because we were doing number one song of the day, and I start listening to Sailing. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Yacht rock, huh? Sailing. I was like, okay, I kind of like this. And then I got a little deeper. I was like, man, I know these songs. I remember these songs. Bangers.
An author who recently did a book with Ted Templeton, one of the great producers of the 80s, was the producer on 1984 from Van Halen, as an example. He was a producer who worked predominantly with Michael McDonald. Quincy Jones was putting together what would become Yamo Be There. And
reminds me of that movie 40-Year-Old Virgins.
And the idea was that
Yamo burned this place to the ground.
Well, yeah.
Remember
that? Yes. One of the great lines. But Quincy was working to put that together, wanted Michael McDonald involved. And of course, he goes to Warner Brothers to say something. They point him towards Ted Templeton. And Ted gets the phone call from Quincy. Listen, hey, I screwed this up. I've already been talking with Michael. Just, listen, hey, I hate to say this, but, I screwed up. I should have come to you first, but.
Well, speaking of music, I'm glad this is brought up because last night at Bramlage Coliseum with K-State beating New Orleans, final score 89-65. So I was told like 20 minutes before the starting lineup said every player was going to get their own walkout song. Like, walkout song?
20 minutes before game time.
And so, there was no like rehearsal or anything. Like, Brett was like, we're going to try this. We're going to see how it goes. I was a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know if there's enough time to play 5 separate songs.
Right.
Because the tip-off song, like the video to the tip-off or to the starting lineups, is Rough Riders, DMX.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think it sets a pretty good mood.
I mean, granted, national anthem is out of your way. That's already taken place in pregame.
Right.
So that's not an issue.
No. But, okay, so in Coach Tang, I'll let you play a clip here in just a minute of his take on doing all this. But here are the songs. So, and I'll go in order of the guys being announced. C.J. Jones, Fresh Prince of Utah by NBA Youngboy, Brendan Haasen, Amarillo by Morning, George Strait. He's from Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, I love it, but boy.
Well, that was I thought that was predictable. Yep. Like Brett and I were saying, they're like, is this going to be a hype song? Like,
yeah. See, that's my thing with it is that I love that song. Yeah, I never would see it as a walk-up song. No.
Max Jones was 200 for Lunch by Gunna. David Gasson, so his song was like a Dutch rap song. So I have no idea how to say the artist name, but the song was called Mansory. And then Coleman Hawkins with a song called Hey Daddy, Daddy's Home by Usher. I think the Daddy's Home part was because the song, he wanted it to kick in at like 38 seconds, and that's when Usher is saying Daddy's Home.
Yeah.
I think that fits the personality of Coleman Hawkins. But Brendan Haasen, rather, I was like, what is this going to sound like? Are we kicking in at Amarillo by Morning with George? Are we going right from the beginning? It was right from the beginning.
Wow.
The instrumental.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I didn't hear a whole lot of difference from a lot of these songs, but man, did Amarillo by Morning. You got a little reaction from the crowd like, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. Same thought process that I had. Walk-up song? Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't quite fit.
But last night's game, it was a very rough start with New Orleans getting out to a 25-15 lead, and from there on out, K-State outscored them by 36 points. First of all, from New Orleans' side of things, like, they're pretty athletic. They're pretty quick. They run, I thought, a pretty smooth offense. Like, they were pretty good at getting the ball to open guys, and I think K-State kind of, played from behind on defense a little bit with kind of running around the floor and keep up with all the guys. Like, they had to give up open threes.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, New Orleans comes out and hits 4 of their first 5.
Yeah, right.
After, in their exhibition, they were 6 of 31. So, of course, the visitor in a bye game like that, they get out to a good start.
Mm-hmm.
The only player that was scoring for K-State early was David Gasson. He was kind of doing everything. He was grabbing rebounds. He was scoring. He hit a 3, knocked down a couple of shots inside the paint. So K-State was needing a spark. And I will say that I think the spark actually was still, even though he wasn't scoring, he was still rebounding, grabbing the offensive boards, getting the pass off. Max Jones hit the 3. That kind of opened things up for K-State offensively. And then you got other guys mixed in as well with Brendan Haasen knocking down a couple of 3s, which we can talk about him in just a moment. But Coach Tang as well will speak about this. I think the true spark for K-State last night was David Gasson.
Dave's energy and effort allowed us to stay close enough that when we went on a run, we was able to take a lead. And so, I'm happy for him because he works really, really hard, and we have a ton of confidence in him. And so very, very, very thankful.
I think it's been very clear in the first couple of games with the exhibition and then last night. David Gasson is playing at another level. In the exhibition, David's in the lineup, and you're kind of thinking, is this what we should have expected? Is this a good thing that he's in the starting lineup? Because you're thinking David Gasson 7 points a game, who was rebounding really well at the beginning of last year, and at the end of last year was rebounding very well. He's just been a different animal so far. He is kind of dominating on the boards. The ball's bouncing his way, but he's going to fight for them, and he's winning those fights. He is scoring. He's been a lot more, I think, aggressive with his play. And he's also been impressive with his a little bit maybe more aggressive with his defense, and he's not fouling. I think he didn't have a single foul last night, and finished with, again, a double-double before halftime. And he finishes with 21 points, 15 rebounds, 10 of those rebounds offensively.
You bring up a great point about fouling, and that has been his problem really since coming to K-State, is that he would be that fighter for rebounds but find himself in foul trouble very easily. If he's found a way to be able to do that fight without putting himself in position to land on the bench, and instead is able to put it together where he's able to give extended periods of time on the floor, that is a huge benefit for K-State.
Max Jones in the lineup was a difference maker. 19 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a very good stat line. He hit his first 4 threes of the game. He got into, again, he was a little bit slow on his rhythm start as well. Once he got going. That was a big spark. And then, Brendan Haasen, if he can still fire away like this all season long, Brendan's going to be real fun to watch. He was real fun to watch last night. He's not the best defensively. He did give up a blow-by, but then what does he do next? He gets the ball, sprints up the west side of the floor. He pulls up for a 30-footer and knocks it down. And it was
yes.
It was a half cheer and a half wow. Yay, wow.
Yeah.
It was kind of splitting the crowd like, holy crap.
I'm thinking more the coach reaction. No, yes.
No, that's not with Brendan Haasen. It's not no. He's got a green light all over that half court.
I know plenty of coaches that would have that mindset, though.
But he's already set this tone, and
sure,
I'm sure for a lot of people, you're watching him play for the first time ever, so you maybe not exactly used to what his work was at Villanova. We got a glimpse of him when he played here last year, but that was it. That every time he shoots it, has a chance to go in. That's why he has that green light. He's so accurate. He's not missing by much. He's not an airball guy.
Right.
It's going to hit the rim, But he knocks down 4 last night. He was 4 of 9, so a better percentage. He wasn't jacking them up as much early for sure, and he got in a rhythm as well, and he finishes with 17 points. Already a much bigger role than he had at Villanova.
You have a clip in there, I think, of Tang talking about the turnovers. I think, what did K-State have, 9 turnovers last night? It was very low. That's pretty darn impressive.
Sorry about that. I thought you were done. But here's that clip you're talking about.
I don't know when the last time we had single-digit turnovers, right? So, no, our staff did a great job in recruiting. We brought in better ball handlers, decision-makers, and it's great to not have to scheme passes, right? Like we can scheme shots.
So that leads me into my next point. I think there's 2 big takeaways just as a team. And yes, K-State only had 9 turnovers. 2 of them were like, guys, it's late, we're up big, 20-plus points, probably trying to do a little bit too much. We shouldn't have thrown that pass. You're trying to do too much. So really, to me, it was really just 7 turnovers that was actually forced in a way by the New Orleans defense. Either K-State getting sped up or, just a takeaway or whatever, because New Orleans did have 7 steals. So 7 turnovers, 7 steals, that was, that done by New Orleans. Yeah. I guess one of them was because of just a dumb pass or whatever by Coleman Hawkins, just trying to lob it inside to Ugadonyenso. But only 9 turnovers. Guys, last year, K-State didn't have any less than 10 a year ago. So they're taking care of the ball, and also they're spreading the passing around. They're passing like a crazy, and it's smart passing. Like Coleman Hawkins, you can see the wheel turning in the head, where he's kind of playing 2 steps ahead. He knows where he's going, but he knows, he made a couple of backwards passes where he was not looking in that direction. And he threw a perfect pass to a wide open guy for a 3. So they're doing a great job of finding their open shooters, which is a great sign. And the assist numbers, I mean, you didn't have a great night scoring from Coleman Hawkins. 5 points, he was 2 of 9 from the floor. Doug McDaniel was 2 of 8. A little bit better. He finished with 6 points, but you still had Doug with 8 assists. You had Coleman Hawkins with 5 assists. Max Jones had 5 assists. 24 assists last night on 34 made buckets for K-State. So you have a lot of guys on this team, and this is just showing the depth that you can play all these guys and you only have 9 turnovers, plus you can play all these guys and they're all playing unselfish basketball.
On top of that, though, let's go back to the base point on turnovers. The coach speak is value the basketball. And last year, did you ever feel like that there were guys that truly valued the basketball running the point?
That value the basketball? Yeah, but I mean, like Tyler Perry had to deal all the time with being double teamed outside the arc, and half of the shot clock was used for him just to try to dribble out of it.
True. You're right, but
that's not happening with this team.
Right, and that's part of what I'm getting at is that you're looking at a team that by design in recruiting was guys who value the basketball. Guys who are going to come to the ball if one of their teammates winds up in that double team situation.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Guys that are going to do their best to not try to pass out of that double team into an ill-advised pass because they're harried for time. No, guys that are going to be looking to make that extra pass, but make sure that it's a good pass. That's what coaches talk about when they're discussing value the basketball. Too often, guys are like, they're okay with the turnover as long as they're still getting their points. And that drives coaches crazy.
Well, Coach did say he still feels like this team is influenced by, they're playing hard and they're playing their best when they see the ball go in the hoop.
Sure.
They're not, they're not influenced by like the big stop or whatever, things outside just the ball going into the hoop. And I understand that take, and I understand your point as well. And, that was a big emphasis for the recruiting, and that's to find guy. It's not like, all right, he's a great 3-point shooter, but he's a good passer, but maybe too many turnovers a game. It's up, 3 or turnovers, 4 turnovers a game, maybe a little bit sloppy at times. I think things obviously got cleaned up. From game 1 to game 2, I'm talking about the exhibition, and I say cleaned up. I still think Max Jones being in the lineup was a difference maker. Things were a little bit more smooth, and you didn't see. How do I say this? You didn't see guys get selfish with the basketball. They weren't afraid to take the extra pass, the swing passes. They would keep it going. I think guys actually were a little bit too unselfish because you saw 3-point shots that were open get passed up, and I was surprised to see Brendan Hazen do it 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So, 13 threes last night. They would have finished over 40% if they didn't miss like 3 or 4 right at the end of the game in the final 2 minutes. But encouraging, I think, is the word to the word to use. Encouraging performance. It wasn't a 30, 35, 40-point win, but how many times did we see last year where K-State struggled against these kind of teams and they didn't have the depth to bounce back? It was, it was always on 2 or 3 guys, Kaluma, Cam, and Tyler Perry to try to grind out of that. You need somebody to step up. Now it seems like you're much deeper. Where, yes, if Coleman Hawkins, the allegedly $2 million man, only has a 5-point night, you have a whole bunch of other guys that can pick up that slack for you, while Coleman can still help you in other areas. That's encouraging.
How long until the walk-up song is the $6 million man theme for Coleman?
Probably doesn't even know that show existed.
In all seriousness, though, you hope Coleman Hawkins does not have many 5-point nights. You hope he has a lot of high-scoring nights for the money that you're paying him in NIL money.
Well, and I get that, but if he can still – if his assist-to-turnover – if he could get you 5 assists and your assist-to-turnover ratio as a team is almost 3-1, I think you'll be perfectly fine with how games go down, even if Coleman is not scoring in double figures every night.
But why did you bring him in to score the basketball too? If he's scoring 5 points a game, that's kind of underwhelming in my opinion.
No, you didn't necessarily bring him in to score the basketball. You're looking for him to be a guy that is well-rounded in what he's doing. And let's remember, you're also putting him in a different position than what he has been in, where he's able to move out on the wing and do some things that he was not being allowed to do in Illinois' offense.
If he didn't, I know from Illinois fans, I've heard from a couple of former Illinois media people that, if he would have scored a few more points a game, he probably gets a much higher accolade in the postseason All Big Ten awards than he did last season. And he averaged 12 points a game, but yeah, he's well rounded. He's going to do everything for you. He's just as good of a passer that he is a rebounder, and his defense is super underrated, I think, so far because of his length and the position that he plays. He's more likely, potentially going to be at a lot of the times guarding somebody that's smaller than him. So he's going to be able to really be a big asset on help defense. And I saw quite a bit of that last night.
And on top of that, he's likely going to wind up with those that are smaller than him guarding him as well, being out on the wing like he wants to play.
All right, guys, I got to bounce. Good first step for K-State. A step in the right direction from the game against Fort Hays State. Next will be Cleveland State, Saturday at 3 o'clock. But before we take a break, we need to find a winner of some K-State women's basketball tickets. So we're going to take caller 4 right now, 785-537-1350. Caller 4 at 785-537-1350 is winning 4 tickets to tomorrow night's game against Belmont at 6:30. More of the game next. Go Cats.
You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.
We care, we're there. Interim Healthcare.
Student in one of the classes, what do you think was your greatest accomplishment at K-State? Well, immediately I said, getting the College of Business established.
Is there anyone more purple-blooded than 101-year-old C. Clyde Jones?
I was lead administrator in getting the current football stadium built in 1967.
Clyde's secret to longevity centers around his customized daily home care, provided by Interim Healthcare. Interim's passionate, caring professionals cultivate a safe, happy, engaging environment for Clyde.
I was a central figure in hiring Jack Hartman.
Interim's Home Health, your home field and home court advantage.
We care, we're there. Interim Healthcare.
Topeka, Manhattan, Lawrence.
Discover a world where art meets light using cutting-edge exhibitions that explore visual art, the creative process, and digital technology. The Museum of Art and Light has arrived in Manhattan and is the place where people from all walks of life will be totally engaged in an electrifying, breathtaking experience. The Museum of Art and Light is the first contemporary art museum to blend immersive, digital, and physical art all under one roof. Bring your friends and family to experience the beauty of the art like never before. For more information, you can find them online at artlightmuseum.org.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
This is Dalton Melican with the Manhattan Fire Department for some home fire escape tips. When making a home escape plan, draw a map of each level of the house. Show all doors and windows, go to each room, and point 2 ways out. Practice the plan with everyone in your household, including visitors. Teach your children how to escape on their own in case you cannot help them. Make sure they can open windows, remove screen, and unlock doors. A closed door may slow the spread of smoke, heat, and fire. Install smoke alarms in every sleeping room outside each separate sleeping area. Have an outside meeting place, something permanent, like a tree, light pole, or mailbox, a safe distance in front of your home where firefighters will easily find you. Make sure your house number can be seen easily from the street both night and day. If there's a fire in your house, when the smoke alarm sounds, get out and stay out. Go to the outside meeting place, call 911 or the fire department. If there's smoke blocking the door or the first way out, use your second way out. Smoke is poisonous. If you must escape through the smoke, get low and go under the smoke to your way out. For more fire safety tips, visit us on Facebook at Manhattan Fire Department.
Brought to you by the Manhattan Fire Department and Manhattan Broadcasting Company.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Listen to the Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics for the best car advice on radio. Every Sunday morning at 5 a.m. here on KMAN.
I'm AJ Sean with a sports update for News Radio KMAN as the game continues. David Gasson scored 21 and grabbed 15 rebounds to lead K-State to an 89-65 victory over New Orleans on Tuesday night and a season opener for both teams.
Dave's energy and effort allowed us to stay close enough that when we went on a run, we was able to take a lead. And so, I'm happy for him because he works really, really hard, and we have a ton of confidence in him. And so, very, very, very thankful.
Gasson finished 10 of 14 shooting from the field. Max Jones had 19 points and 5 assists in his Wildcat debut, and Brendan Haasen scored 15 for K-State. The pair each made 4. The Cats 13 three-pointers on the night. New Orleans was led in scoring by Josh Short with 19. James White had 14, and Day-Day Hunter had 10. Unbeaten Oregon got the top billing in the first set of the college football playoff rankings released last night. The selection committee liked Ohio State just a touch more than Georgia in its top 25. Other than that, the panel's top 12 looked exactly like the top dozen in the most recent AP poll, with K-State checking in at number 19. Iowa State is in at 17, Colorado at 20. BYU would be the lone Big 12 representative in the bracket at number 9. However, that would be a first-round bye, as they'd be the conference champions. More of the game next on News Radio KMAN.
I realize that we are all politicked out. I had to chuckle earlier, actually, in a Discord with a group of friends of mine. One was complaining about a text that they had received, basically a political text still today, for fighting for something or against something. And it wasn't 10 minutes later that Mitch got the same text.
Oh, boy.
So that should tell you a little something right away in how tired we all are of politicking. But I want to give credit to the folks who pay attention to the business side of college athletics right now. Because specifically 2 sources, and one of them is Pete Nakos at On3, who were on top of this story this morning. And given another member of that Commerce Committee, it will pose an interesting storyline going forward. And that is that with all of the discussion about where we sit with NIL, the election results yesterday, and in the case of the U.S. Senate, the shift that is now coming, where the Republicans will have the oversight, have the majority. Mm-hmm. Texas Senator Ted Cruz becomes the Senate Commerce Committee chair. Cruz has been at the center of a number of sit-down items, sit-down events with leaders in college athletics specifically, in trying to find ways to stem the current situation with NIL, whereas we have talked about that it is essentially the wild, wild west. Mm-hmm. He and NCAA President Charlie Baker specifically have worked together on a number of ideas. I also bring this up because one of the people that is on that Commerce Committee, and he and I have a rain check to talk about it at some point, and that is Senator Jerry Moran.
Yep.
We have not had a chance to truly sit down and discuss that as a topic because in this election year, there were so many other things that were front and center for the discussion. In recent weeks, apparently, the Senator Cruz has been working on new legislation. This is according to Pete Nakos at On3.com, and has held meetings with Power 4 schools in an effort to try to hammer out a bill. He won re-election last night, albeit by a slimmer margin than probably was expected. Interestingly, he won that against a former student athlete.
Former NFL player, too, yeah.
Former Baylor linebacker Colin Allred. The point being is that those involved in college sports, and especially with any revamp of what the NCAA is going to be, Cruz is in a position where he can make a critical move, 2, 3, 4, a number of critical moves with that committee specifically, but overall in terms of the lawmaking ability to try to put together a bill that would make uniform NIL laws across the entire country. Because right now you have a patchwork of them in varying states.
Yeah.
Or you have, in other states, nothing to address it whatsoever. Among those that he has had conversations with as well, former Alabama football head coach Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And we know how many of the coaches who have got out of the game feel about the current state of NIL and the transfer portal, recruiting in general, but those two impactful items.
Yes.
Specifically. It is going to be very interesting.
For sure.
However, the question to me comes down to, does Ted Cruz have better luck at this with athletics than showing up at any games? I'm not kidding.
I know.
Every time, hammer on the bets. Ted Cruz is there, hammer the visitor. Go.
Even when he brings Caroline with him, his daughter?
Yes, because Ted Cruz is in the building. Oh, man.
The only game I can think that they won when he was there was Game 4 of the ALCS over the Yankees a couple of years ago. That's the only one I can think of because he was sitting behind home plate.
Sure. Yeah, for the I would like to put W's record versus Ted Cruz's record all time at being at events, because I think W's probably got him at about a 3-1 margin.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah.
The Ted Cruz jinx is real. But for something like this, it's going to be an interesting watch.
For sure.
And again, it will be an interesting watch away from just the general politics of things, but it will definitely be one that will be impactful at a time that we are talking about. And again, I know people are going to get tired of me on this, but I grew up loving college athletics. I grew up recognizing and being a fan of the Big Eight as it was structured. But at the time, the SEC was on an equal footing with the Big Eight. The ACC was on an equal footing. You could say that the then Western Athletic Conference had a somewhat equal footing as the Pac-12. I've never been a fan of Big Ten football.
Oh, I know.
Period.
I know a lot of people back home that listen to this show don't love that, but
tough. The style is boring.
Yeah.
The style, it's the same reason we mocked Nebraska for years. Yes, they had success with it, but you wondered what would happen when they actually had to bring their offense out of the Stone Ages.
Yeah.
Oklahoma was the same way.
Yep. With the wishbone.
The point of it all is that the fact that we have now installed the SEC and the Big Ten as the big guns, and nobody is stepping up to change that, just thoroughly hacks me off. And that is from someone who, again, got irritated when ABC would be showing a Big Ten game on Saturday instead of a Big 8 one. Of course, that was also back in the day when you were limited to what was on network television, and we can, again, a whole different discussion, albeit a whole different discussion on what was allowed for the NCAA in terms of its management of the game at the time versus where we are now. Man, it really is amazing how all of this does go back to a certain length or a certain point in time. All of it can be traced, and it is unbelievable to think that through. All right, back with more as we continue on the game in a moment.
Your home for K-State sports.
Neighbors with the 2-2. Strikes out Stovall. The Cats are a win away from the Super Regional round.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
After facing a multitude of challenges since 2020, Flint Hills Area Transportation Agency has decided to evaluate the current system and seek out the current needs and wants of the local communities to guide a path forward. Your input is vital. Flint Hills Addabus needs your help. Get involved and share your input to help guide Addabus so they can provide more convenient and efficient connections to jobs, services, and educational opportunities. Take the survey by going to fhata.org/study.
Thinking about the future isn't always easy, but with the attorneys at Adair Law, planning your estates can be. We understand the importance of protecting what matters most, your family and your legacy. Don't wait for tomorrow. Secure your peace of mind today. Protecting clients with compassion is what they do. Call Adair Law at 785-776-2000 to schedule your consultation today.
Prairie Band Casino is the place to be to play your way. Get in on hot gaming action at our table games and slot machines. Place those bets at the sportsbook. Treat your taste buds to a hand-cut dry-aged steak in the award-winning Three Fire Steakhouse. Plunge into our indoor pool or relax in the hot tubs. Get pampered at our luxurious Cedar and Sage Spa. Discover more ways to play your way. Prairie Band Casino and Resort.
Hi, I'm Jake Powell with the Manhattan Fire Department, here with some smoke alarm tips to keep you and your family safe. Install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. Interconnect all the smoke alarms throughout the home for the best protection. When one sounds, they all sound. Make sure you can hear the smoke alarm from where you sleep. Test your smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button. And make sure everyone in the home understands the sound of the smoke alarm and what to do if it goes off. Smoke alarms with non-replaceable long-life batteries are designed to remain effective for up to 10 years. If the alarm chirps, warning that the battery is low, replace the entire smoke alarm right away. For smoke alarms with replaceable batteries, change these batteries at least once a year. If the alarm chirps, replace the battery. All smoke alarms should be replaced when they are 10 years old or no longer function when you push the test button and change the battery. For more fire safety tips, visit us on Facebook at Manhattan Fire Department.
Brought to you by the Manhattan Fire Department and Manhattan Broadcasting Company.
Out here, in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes, that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Stress builds up, you have trouble sleeping, maybe your mind is racing and you just don't feel like yourself. So what do? We get help. Lots of people are struggling with their mental health. It's more common than you think. The good news is, there are people in our community who are here for us when times are tough. Sometimes, just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world, so we don't feel so alone. One thing you can do is visit loveyourmindtoday.org for simple steps you can take to find the right solution for you. Whether it's hearing stories about what other people are going through, or finding the resources we need to navigate the stresses in our lives. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. today.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
From opening night to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, don't miss a second of the NFL this season. Hi, this is Kurt Warner of Westwood One. Join our crew each week for the best in primetime NFL action. Monday night, Sunday night, and Thursday night football, plus marquee games on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Christmas, and more. Westwood One is the exclusive radio home for every primetime and postseason game. It's right here.
1350 AM, 93.3 and 93.7 FM. This is News Radio KMAN.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast. Calling for patchy fog tonight after 9 p.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 38. The fog will clear up after 8 a.m. tomorrow. Sunshine expected throughout the day with a high of 57. Fog set to return then tomorrow evening, a low of 39. There is a chance for showers throughout the day and into the evening hours on Friday night. 54 the high throughout the day on Friday. More of the game next on News Radio KMAN.
Continuing on the game, Fort Riley Boulevard between Richards and Westwood, injury accident that you'll want to be alert to if you are making your way around town this afternoon. Troy and AJ back with you. I didn't touch on it in morning sports, but and we weren't in the conversation for it today, but did you see Mike Gundy apologizing for his Monday comments in his press conference?
I did see that he apologized.
2 sentences. All of 2 sentences. I apologize to those who my comments during Monday's media call offended. My intent was not to offend any of our fans who have supported us in this program through the years. I'm not kidding. I think that the clock is ticking on him in Stillwater.
I made the comment the other day to someone. It feels a lot like Bob Huggins at the end of his time at West Virginia, where he stopped kind of giving a you-know-what. I think Gundy's at that stage now where he's kind of stopped giving a you-know-what. And I don't disagree. I think the clock is definitely ticking on his tenure down there in the great city of Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Here's my thing about this. And I don't profess a lot of inside knowledge regarding Oklahoma State athletics and donors. My best contact there is no longer in that athletic department, and so it's not something that I've dug into dramatically deep here of late. But I get a feeling at this point that with T. Boone Pickens no longer on this mortal coil, that Gundy's protection may not be as strong as it once was.
Yeah.
There have been times where I really felt like that he was headed towards a problem. And yet he was able to maintain and remain in place.
Yeah.
The fact that he got sideways of players on his own team because of a T-shirt that he wore specifically, Chubba Hubbard really took that one hard.
Almost quit the team.
And yet he was able to continue because he had money at his back.
Yep.
This is a new day and age for Oklahoma State. For all of the money that T. Boone Pickens spent on that program, now you find yourself in not just the situation where you are at a disadvantage to that other school in the state. You're at a
Oral Roberts? I'm kidding.
You're at a disadvantage financially because the big benefactor that you've had is not able to cut those checks.
Yeah.
And add in NIL, and this gets really hairy really quick, I've got a feeling. 3-6 going into this weekend. The only Big 12 team without a conference win.
For a team that was in the Big 12 title game last year, too. And, yeah, they did lose some talent, but they still had their Doak Walker award-winning running back. They still had their quarterback back. And yet they're 3-6.
On top of the expectations, the fact that they were in that championship game last year, you have no longer in place the rivalry. You know, Bedlam is done for the time being. You've not won a conference game. And while Gundy has, over the 20 years, put together a 169-85 record, there have been just so many years where you look at that roster and you see mediocrity. Or you look at the results and see mediocrity. That is a team that has never broken through the level that really it should have under Mike Gundy. But he has been safe because, well, T. Boone loved him. Exactly.
I'm doing a money sign.
Money is it. Yeah, T. Boone loved him. The number of transfers they've had out of the program, to me, the last few years has really spoken a lot for what the status is in Stillwater.
Yeah, the culture's
but that's
bad.
me.
The culture's not good.
No, the culture is not.
Yeah.
And where they go from here is going to be very interesting to watch. There is no doubt about that. But yes, Gundy forced to apologize for essentially calling fans failures. And that was real smart. We'll wrap up the game in a moment.
This poor man is crying. Why? He missed the game. You know, you can always check out the game podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and at newsradiokman.com.
This is Tori Berard, and I'm the bank manager at ESB Financial. We're a local community bank, and our vision is to help our clients achieve their dreams. So what's your dream? Is it to own a home in the Manhattan community? Do you want to open your own business? Or are you working on building your savings account for a dream vacation? Whatever it may be, we want to help. Come see us at ESB Financial and find out how our unbeatable products and customer service can help you achieve your dream. Member FDIC.
Eagle Housing Lender.
Are you tired of that outdated kitchen? Is your basement more dungeon than hangout, or do you need a complete new home build? Well, no matter what you're looking for, Greg Wag Construction has been making home dreams come true for over 30 years. Greg Wag Construction is the licensed, experienced professional builder that will give you the quality craftsmanship that you can trust. Don't believe me? Go online and look at his reviews. Give Greg Wag Construction a call at 785-313-3819 and build something amazing together.
At Stormont Vale Health, our patients are our neighbors and our communities are home.
We invest in your health and our community by bringing high-quality healthcare closer to home. From our Wamego Clinic to our new campus in Manhattan and the Flint Hills Hospital in Junction City. Our partnerships with organizations like the Mayo Clinic and the Children's Miracle Network bring top-notch expertise to our region. We take pride in local collaboration to stay connected to our communities. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care closer to home.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn, but not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
News Radio KMAN.com, your online resource for the news and information that matters to you.
I'm AJ Shaw with a sports update for News Radio KMAN as the game continues. K-State opened their season with a victory last night behind 21 points and 15 rebounds from David Gasson as K-State beat New Orleans 89-65.
Dave's energy and effort allowed us to stay close enough that when we went on a run, we was able to take a lead. And so, I'm happy for him because he works really, really hard, and we have a ton of confidence in him. And so very, very, very thankful.
Head coach Jerome Tang, after Gasson finished 10 of 14 shooting from the field. Max Jones added 19 points and 5 assists in his K-State debut, and Brennan Hazen scored 15 for the Cats. The pair each made 4 of the Wildcats' 13 triples on the evening. Josh Short scored 19 to lead New Orleans in scoring on the night. James White had 14, and Day Hunter had 10. Unbeaten Oregon got top billing in the first set of the college football playoff rankings released last evening. The selection committee liked Ohio State just a touch more than Georgia in its top 25. Other than that, the panel's top 12 looked exactly like the top dozen in the most recent AP poll, as K-State checks in at number 19. Iowa State is at 17, Colorado at 20. BYU is the lone Big 12 representative at number 9. However, they would have a first-round bye as a conference champion. We wrap up the game next on News Radio KMAN. Alrighty, AJ and Troy with you here in the final minutes. We are 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving.
Oh boy.
Turkey or stuffing?
Turkey.
You're not a stuffing fan?
Oh, no.
Really?
No. Again, Troy's stomach has an issue with vegetables.
Oh, the vegetables. I thought it would be...
Oh, no. Salt is more of an adjustment item.
Okay.
Yeah, it's vegetables that this stomach will absolutely reject. And if you think I'm kidding or that this is a personal thing, no, it is actually a physical malady item. And so I have taken a lot of heat over the years for the fact that you can forget about a salad for me. No way, no how. Not happening. I am a turkey guy all the way. Thank you.
Do you ever go with gravy on the turkey?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, man. You got to do that. Totally.
Sure. I mean, same a lot of times with roast beef.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. And in fact, things will be a little interesting here around Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. For those who don't know, my mom took a spill recently and spent a few days in the hospital and is utilizing a walker for the moment. But that means that she has already been mandated to not lift a finger as it pertains to Thanksgiving or Christmas. That myself, my brother, our wives will be taking care of those types of things. So, it's going to just be a little different, but that's okay. It is what it is, and that is we'll be getting together to celebrate the holiday, and that's what matters, right alongside of watching for the football. Back at it tomorrow at 4. Go Cats.
KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier. Visit ksstate.bank to learn more. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan.